Hello there, book friends, and welcome to my channel. My name is Megan, and today I am doing the top 5 Wednesdays, and this is my first time doing this, so I'm not 100% sure exactly what I'm doing, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. I've seen these videos around a lot, obviously, and I thought that I would try and join in. This week's challenge is to give your top 5 childhood books that you think people should reread as adults, so that is what I am going to be doing. First book series that I think that would be good for adults to reread is the Chronicles of Narnia. Here is my copy of the Voyage of the Dawn Treader by C.S. Lewis. I love this copy because it's beautiful, and all my other ones are like in their box set, and they're rather old and a little bit more fragile. I think that as an adult going back into this series, you can get a little bit more out of this series as an adult, more than when you were as a kid. As a kid, you can enjoy the story and the characters and the fun element and the fantasy element of it, but as an adult, you can see more of the themes of families and love and forgiveness, how everybody gets a chance to be forgiven, even if you've done something terrible. I love a lot of the character arcs that we get in these stories. Each book teaches the characters their own lesson, and I think that as an adult, we can still learn from the lessons that these kids learn, and we can still learn the lessons that the book is trying to teach us. It's one of the ones that is a little bit more popular because it's been made into movies, and it's been around for a long time, so a lot of people have read it. Well, the next series that I'm going to be talking about is one that is like YA and kind of children. That is The Giver by Lois Lowry, and yes, I have the movie cover, and yes, I hate it, but it's the only one they had when I bought the book, so I really wanted to read it. And this one is a dystopian series, and I'm sure everybody knows that there's been a whole craze of dystopian YA novels that have been released in the last like 5-10 years. But this one came out in the early 90s, and it is so very different from a lot of other dystopian novels that we get to read, and I really enjoyed it. We have Jonas. He is living in this very strict kind of communist sort of world where when you turn 12, you're given your assignment and your job, and you're told what you are going to be and what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And also, they don't see colors. Everything they see is gray. Everybody kind of has the same sort of look, and it has that kind of feel to it. And I'm sure that some of you may have seen the movie, which was okay in my opinion, though I don't know why they had to make the characters older. Jonas is given a specific job to be kind of the giver's sort of apprentice, and I don't want to give too much away if you haven't read it. It's so well done, and the ending to this book, and the ending to all of the books in this series, there are 4 books in the series, they're done really well. You can read this book and you can finish it and be satisfied, but also want more, which I think is a good way to end some books, leaving the audience wanting more and not wanting less. It kind of leaves a little bit up to your imagination, which I think is a good thing sometimes. And overall, I would just highly suggest rereading this book if you read it as a kid. I know a lot of people did read this book as a kid, and reading the rest of the books in the series, because it wraps up a lot of the things that happen in this book, although all the books follow a different character, but it all kind of comes together in the end, and it just gives you this happy, warm feeling, and I would definitely suggest these books because they are fantastic. And then the next one I think is a good one is Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. I read the first 4 books as a kid. I have all 8 books and a few of her side novels now, and I have read pretty much everything by L.M. Montgomery, and I love it to death, but I think that you can pick up Anne of Green Gables as an adult and reread it and get something different from it and learn more about it than when you were a kid. There are definitely a lot of important themes in this novel. It does have a lot to do with growing up, but also learning to love someone who isn't your own flesh and blood. And we have Anne, who is a young orphan, and Marilla and Matthew Cuthbert, who accidentally adopt her. They were trying to get a boy to help out on the farm, and then Anne comes to their doorstep through coincidence or fate, but she ends up living with them, and we get to watch her be clumsy at times and foolhardy, but also learn from her mistakes. And I love her character to bits. She is so adorable and flawed and just very human. I love getting to see characters like this. She's also very fierce and an independent, strong woman, and she loves to write. I just think that this book and all the books in the series are really great, and I would definitely suggest reading them. Series that I want to talk about: Alana, The First Adventure by Tamora Pierce, or all the books in this series and in the ones after the series. Actually, anything by Tamora Pierce. I love Tamora Pierce, and I love the world of Tortall that she has built up, and I just love everything to do with these books. So great. I read them first probably when I was about 10 years old, and I absolutely adored them, and the characters are so great and so real. This one is first book in a series of 4 books, and originally the author had planned to actually make this into one big book, but back then in the late 80s, early 90s, they didn't think that young people would want to read a book that was over 200 pages because it would be too big for them. We follow Alana, who is a young girl, and her twin brother Tom, and she and her brother switch places because she wants to be a knight and her brother wants to study sorcery. And her father was not really a great father, never really cared about them, so he just pretty much shipped them off to school, and she goes off to train to become a knight. And this is the first book of her, and she is a page in this book, and it passes by through 4 years. I like her character. She's another fiery red-headed character that I love to see, and we get to see her struggle a bit because she is a woman, and we also get to see her have her period, which I thought was a great scene, and I love it when they include things like that in fantasy novels because they don't always something that happens to women, so it's something that should be mentioned or included in the novel at least once, and I'm glad that they did. I just think that this is a great one to reread. The last one that I think that you should read is Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Now, this one I don't really remember much about because it's been so long since I read it. So one of the reasons it's on this list is because I want to read it as an adult to better understand the characters and also to better understand Lewis Carroll's mind, because his story is full of wacky and weird characters, and I just want to read it to study the characters, and I feel like it's a good book to read for kids, but if you're going to read it as an adult, I feel like you can get more from the story when as an adult reading it, because there is more to it than just fun, weird characters. I feel like there's more substance to it, although it has been a while since I've read it, so I can't say too much about it. When I do reread it, I will probably do a book review on it, talking about some of the things that I have learned. So I just think that that is one that should be on the list. That is all my books for Top 5 Wednesday. Thank you for sticking with me, and that is all for now, lovelies. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you want more bookish content from me. Thank you for watching, and bye!